Last week, Ong'S released a video, and I'm sure you guys all watch him purely because I already know YouTube tells me who you guys watch, and I can see most of you guys do go over there and watch him. And he produces some of the best tutorial videos for firstly getting into doing your football trading over on Betfair. And he came up with a new strategy the other week. Now, it's always fairly easy to come up with a new strategy for Betfair trading. You just need to pair a situation in the game with some sort of item you can bet with on Betfair trading and wait to see a pattern. Wait for a pattern to establish itself, make sure it happens quite a lot so you know it is actually sustainable, and then also make sure there is some research that always backs up that pattern, and then you have your own method. It is quite simple, but Ong'S strategy was a fairly simple one. For those who haven't already seen that video, I'd recommend you do go watch it, because obviously he will be better at explaining his strategy. But in simple terms, it is a laying the draw strategy with a bit of a twist. You're going to want to have two teams that you know which one is going to be the winner. You want a firm favourite and an underdog, as you always do with laying the draw. You want it to get fairly late on in the game, ideally the second half and further on into the game if possible. And then with laying the draw, you want to make sure that that game is still going the way you expect it to. You want to make sure that the team who you expect to be winning is still pressing for that win and playing well. They've just got a little bit unlucky, and that the other team always concedes late on. And then you know you can lay the draw, because you know hopefully there is a goal coming later on in the game, as your research should reflect. And then once a goal comes, you can either cash out fully straight away at your exit point, or you can keep going to further on increase your profit if you so choose. But what Ong'S suggests in this new trading tactic is that instead of laying the draw, you actually back the favourite. Now this way around, it's going to give you a lot more profit whenever the favourite does take the lead or win the game once the game is finished. But it also means there is less outcomes that favour you. If you're doing the laying the draw method and the underdog scores, it's not going to initially help you out too much, because it's not going to swing the odds too much in your favour. The draw might still actually be the favoured outcome in a game where the underdog takes the lead. Straight away, that is, at least. But as the game goes on, 80th, 85th minute, that team will then become the favourite, and the draw will no longer be the most likely outcome, so that will be then reflected on Betfair, and you will then get profit. So with laying the draw, in the end, you can still make a profit regardless of what team wins, as long as it doesn't end up being a draw. But with this new strategy, you only get a profit if the favourite takes the lead. They don't necessarily need to win the game, because you can obviously use your exit points and get out of the strategy once a goal's gone in, but they need to take the lead in that game for you to make a profit. So it can be a little bit more tricky, but because of the big increase in the amount of profit you make when that team does go on to win or goes on to score and take the lead, that means you get a lot more profit, meaning it's not a 1-to-1 trade-off like the laying the draw is. It's more like a 2-to-1 trade-off or a 3-to-1 trade-off, which means you can have 3 wins, 1 defeat, and you're still massively in profit. Whereas with laying the draw, you have 1 win, 1 defeat, and you're basically cancelled out, which is still a good return rate, but with this one, it is very good. Now, I saw this method yesterday. Now, yesterday for me was Thursday the 20th of May. So, with this in mind, I went and did some quick research to see if there was any games on that night, and there was. There was Girona versus Malaga in the Spanish second division, and I thought, right, Girona looked to be the clear favourites here. It was before kickoff. Their odds were already at 1.8, so that was still great odds considering they were definitely the favourite, because if you look at the stats that I'm going to be putting on the screen now, you can see that the home form, the home table in the league, was actually Malaga being right down near the bottom, in the bottom 3, and Girona's away form was in the top 5. So there we go, we had the first instance showing that Girona were the better team of the two. And then, to help us even just a little bit more, you can see that although they're not too far apart in the actual league itself, one's in 5th, one's in 14th, neither is a dominant team in the league and no one's a pushover. But if we look at the form table to the right of that, Girona up in top spot in the form table, and Malaga down near enough at the bottom in form as well. Only 8 points from their last 8 games. So this showed us that if this game was still a draw in the second half of the game, this would be the perfect opportunity to be able to use this strategy. Now, I forgot to take a screenshot of this, but Girona's most favoured scoreline at half-time was 0-0. Malaga's was 1-0 victory in their favour and a 0-0 as well, I believe. So that is already a good start there, because it means if it is still 0-0 at half-time, that was expected, because that's what both these teams have done all season pretty much. And then it's the second half where the two teams do tend to come alive. So it was around about the 59th minute of this game. Girona's odds had just gone over 2.0, which, as Alex ONG explains in his video, you want odds of 2.0 or above, ideally 2.5 or above, to be able to get the most profit from this strategy. So you want the favourite to have really gone down and the draw looking the most likely option in terms of the Betfair site. Girona had just gone over 2.0 and I thought, right, I'll give it a little bit longer. We'll wait to see if we can get to 2.1 or 2.2, because I know they like to score fairly late on. 70th minute plus. So I was hoping we'd get a bit more odds in our favour before I then place the bet on to see if it works. But unfortunately for me, as you'll see in this next graph, just as it had gone over 2.0, it was getting fairly decent. You can see, just if I bring to light the second jump here, it was just gone over 2.0 and I was ready to put the bet on. You might wonder why there was such a jump earlier on in the game. Girona were up at 2.5, 2.6 in the first half odds to win, and then they dropped down. That wasn't a goal, that was a red card to Malaga, which massively helped us, obviously. In terms of the stats, Girona had nearly 80% possession. They were dominating the game, had about 10 shots, only one on target, but they have one of the most clinical strikers in the league in Stuani up front, so it was pretty obvious they were going to get themselves a goal. So I was happy to go with this, but unfortunately just before I could get my bet on here, Girona took the lead. So if I had put my bet on when it was at 2.02 odds, which is what it was at the time, and then cashed out after the goal had gone in straight away when it dropped down to 1.15, we would have made a guaranteed profit of £3.59. Now that might not seem like a great amount, but you have to remember that that is the straightaway market reaction from the one goal. So that would have increased as the game went on and as Girona kept the lead. Girona did end up winning the game 1-0, so there would have been more profit involved, but I would have cashed out at this point. But the reason that amount is so good, the £3.59, is because it was just a £5 stake. So if you'd have put a £10 stake on, that would be double that. I always say with my trades on this channel, I always have my basic exit point as a 10% mark. I like having a good standard 10%, especially if a game's starting to look a little bit iffy for me. Then 10% is what I'll aim for as a minimum and then get out. But as you can see here from this bet, this would have been a 71.8% return after one goal. After the initial market reaction, there would have been a 71% return, which is a massive return. Obviously, this is still a strategy that has some risks with it. There is only one desired outcome from the game. You want the favourite to take the lead. Anything else puts you in a tricky spot. If the underdog takes the lead, depending on what minute it is in the game, you might just want to get out and cut your losses. Or if there is enough time left in the game, you might want to keep going and see if you can keep your stake in the game and hope that the favourite does get back into it. If the game does slowly end in a 0-0 draw, or a 1-1 draw, or a 2-2 draw, whatever the score may be at the time, then obviously you can also start to trade out your profit or your loss as you go in the game, or you can just wait till later on and cut your losses fully. But a £5 bet here would have made me £3.59, which basically means if I then go into another game with this strategy and I lose, I wouldn't be expected to lose the full £5. I probably would expect to lose around the same here. So in this instance, it was a 1-to-1 trade-off, which I think is still a very good return. And the reason I think that's a very good return is because this is right at the lower point of the odds. This was at 2.02 going into the trade. If you're going in at the 2.5, the 2.4, maybe even higher than that, you're going to make a bigger return. So I am very happy with this strategy. It has worked 100% of the time from my one test, but I'm definitely going to give it a few more tests. In a few weeks, I'm definitely planning on doing another week-long video of me trying to be a football trader again. We know how it went last time, but we know I've improved since then. I've had a load of tips from you guys, so I can't thank you enough for that. But we'll definitely give that another go in a few weeks' time, and we'll be using this strategy in amongst there when we have a lay in the draw type scenario, but we think the favourites are going to come out on top. But that is it for today's episode. Please make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you are new. It makes the world of difference. And as always, let me know down in the comments if you've got any requests for videos. I will get straight on them. I've got a big list down to my side here from all the comments you guys have left before, and I'm slowly working my way through it. But this strategy does look very good. It might be a bit trickier than the others. It might not give out profit as much of the time because you need that one specific team to win, but in my eyes it is a very good high return strategy. It just depends on what the strike rate is for yourselves, but as always, make sure you do the research and you should be fine. But thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.